You've been in this business for how long?
6 months.
6 months.
6 months, man.
And we're in our own studio.
Absolutely. God bless us.
All God.
Yes.
All God.
Yes.
Amen. Congratulations, partner.
Thank you, man. Congratulations to
Oh,
you
I'll
too,
take that.
man.
I'll take that.
All right.
So, Jay, what's going on with you today, man? How's your week been?
Oh, man, I've been really blessed. I had my brother fly in from Texas.
Okay.
My mom's extremely happy right now. I mean, she has both of her sons with her, so she is like so spoiled. So we're taking her out to her favorite store, Marshall's, and all those other good stores, because that's what she loves to do, right? Every time I'd be like, hey, Mom, where do you want to go? Take me to Marshall's. So I got to take her to Marshall's so she could do her shopping.
Shout out to Mom. Shout out to Mom and Marshall's.
Absolutely.
Actually, one of our first pieces of furniture that we got here was from Marshall's, and Mom gave it to us.
Yes.
Your mom gave it to us.
My mom has been our #1 supporter from day one. She believed in us, and she was like, hey, I want to give you guys something that's a gift. And then she was like, here, pick this out. And I'm like, Mom, you don't have to. And then she gave me that mom look, and I'm like, okay. You know, to this day, I get scared. No matter how big I am or how many tattoos I have, it doesn't matter, right? So, yeah, shout out to moms. Man.
Shout out to Mom.
Absolutely.
Well, right now we got on the table. Right now we have on this table a man close to me, close to my heart, close to my spirituality. Did I say that right? Spirituality? No? Okay. He is a motorcyclist. I can say that. He likes. I think it's a Harley.
Yeah. Road
Okay.
King.
It's a Harley. He's a pastor as well. He's a man of God, a man of the cloth. Is it a man of the cloth, or is that just Catholic?
Man of God, I'll take.
Okay, man of God, right? Yeah.
It works.
He's also a financial coach. We're gonna be talking about that today on the show. What's his name? He goes by the name of Victor Rivera. Put your hands together for Victor Rivera.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up and doing this. You're coming from what? You're from the suburbs, right?
Well, originally from the city, but I live in the suburbs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you still claim the city?
What's that?
Can you still claim the city?
Yeah, I think after 25 years, you get to claim it. I think that's what it is. That's a rule.
Well, I think it depends on what neighborhood you lived in.
Humble Park. Park.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Beach and Spalding.
Okay.
Yeah, we survived.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
We survived.
You could claim that. You
Yes.
could claim that. That's
By
a
the
badge
grace
of
of God.
honor.
Yeah.
That's a straight up badge of honor. Beach and Spalding.
We learned how to run and duck. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
And hop, go over those fences.
That's right.
You gotta,
That's right. That's right.
You just get out of school and start running.
That's it. That's it. Running ever since.
So, Pastor, can I call you Pastor? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, because you are one of my
Vic,
pastors. So
Pastor.
okay.
Whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm good.
I feel comfortable with Pastor because you are
Amen.
one of my
Amen.
pastors. It's just that that relationship. So, what are you doing these days with your business?
A lot. I mean, one of the biggest things I'm doing right now is mentoring my son. So, we've been in this business now 21 years, teaching people about finances, how to get ahead financially, and so now we're in the mentorship phase. Teaching others how to go into their communities and impact their community. So, teach the rules of money, things that. For you and I mean, we grew up in the city of Chicago. We didn't grow up learning these things. So we weren't taught about money.
Right. And I always find that really weird that they teach us everything in school, but they don't really teach us about financial stuff, things that we are going to need, like credit scores and how to build credit and just all that has to do. You have to learn that on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. We get taught math, science, history.
Right.
But never about money.
Right.
I remember I took a class in school, and they just taught me how to write a check and how to fill out an application.
That was
I
it.
remember that.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was it. That was the
literally
extent.
it. How to write a check.
How to write
Yeah.
a check. Yeah. Learn
Not how to balance a check.
not how
The
to
book?
balance it. What to do is just here's how you write an actual check, and because of
remember
that, I
that.
made a lot of mistakes. I think what cost us the most amount of money is what we don't know. So it's not just bad information, but it's just no information.
No information.
So,
Absolutely.
Exactly. My first car, when I first got my first car, it was a Pontiac 6000 STE.
Come on.
Loved it. But did the loan company rate me? Absolutely. It was 33%, man. APR.
Wow.
APR.
Well, that's interesting. 38%, I think, is considered extortion legally. So
Really?
they were close.
Really?
They were close.
That was back in 92.
Oh yeah, that's Al
Wow.
Capone type of extortion.
Yeah, They got me good. I mean, the car lasted me.
Yeah.
The car lasted me a long time. But yeah, I didn't know. I didn't have that financial literacy. My mom did not know. Nobody knew about percentages and APRs and all this stuff. We just said, they're giving us a car. Okay, let's sign here.
That's right. Yeah. My mom was a single mom, 3 kids, trying to get ahead financially. And unfortunately, she got taken advantage of in a lot of different areas, not just loans, but also insurance, savings. So it affects us generation to generation, what we don't know or what we do know. On the other side of that coin, if you know, then you can teach your children and your children's children, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's good that you mentioned your mom. So I want to take you back, way back to your 10 years old.
come on.
You are 10 years old. Who is Victor Rivera at 10 years old?
Wow, that's a great question. Wasn't expecting that one, but you keep me on my toes, Carlos. No, 10 years old, I was going to Lowell School over in Humboldt Park, and I was a shy, introverted kid. I'm the youngest in my family, so I'm what my sisters would call the baby big brother. So I'm the baby,
Okay.
but I kind of operated as a big brother.
So how many siblings?
I've got 2 sisters and 3 step siblings. So we're considered like the Latino Brady Bunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at 10 years old, little Victor, did you call you Victor? Did you have a nickname back then?
Victor Manuel.
Victor
Yeah.
Manuel, there was no nickname?
No.
Like Chacho or Pito or Tito or...
No, Pito's my son, actually.
Okay.
So, but
Your mom
yeah.
didn't call you a different name other than Victor?
No, if I got called anything else, it was
Not a word you
it wasn't
said.
good. It wasn't
Not
good.
a word you said.
I can't repeat. Yeah, so.
Got it.
Yeah, but that was me, the little kid that really was watching over everyone else. But I'm still shy, introverted. Something like this, I could have never imagined having this kind of conversation. So, yeah, that was me at 10 years old. El nene.
10 years old. So at 20 years old, who was Victor Rivera?
Wow, Victor Rivera, man, I already had my daughter. So,
You're a
I
young
was-
father.
Yes, young father.
Okay.
Young father. Had my wife, and a year later, my wife was pregnant with my second, which is my son now. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have 2 kids.
Yeah, I've got a almost 24-year-old daughter,
Okay.
and my son that just turned 20 years old here with us today. So yeah,
Yeah, I heard he was the boss.
yeah, he runs the show. He runs my schedule. I don't. He puts me to work. That's what he does. But he keeps me organized, and now it's just a mentorship. So teaching him how to do better than what we did, and a little more than what we knew at that stage. So. But at 20 years old, young man, loved the Lord, just got saved at that age. So
Come on, somebody.
yeah, just accepted Jesus as Lord and Savior, and young man, trying to make some good decisions for my family.
Awesome. So you're into motorcycles.
I am.
What type of Jay's into motorcycles himself. I have a
on,
motorcycle
Jay.
that's
I didn't know
just
that.
rusting.
Yeah, but see, you play around with the big boys, right? You're into Harleys. I'm actually like Jigsaw or whatnot, so sports bike. Actually, nice. I just learned how to ride a motorcycle about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
And this was only because of COVID.
Okay.
I didn't have a car either, right? So when COVID hit, I had a separation of life, right? Meaning I would wake up every morning, I would get dressed, commute to work, so forth and so on. When COVID hit, I started working from home, and I was just going crazy. It was just cabin fever. So I said, I need something, right, to give me. I said, you know what? I put a checklist down on the wall. I said, I'm going to learn how to ride a motorcycle. Got a motorcycle. I was nervous. I just kept it in neutral, and I just took out the gas and just let it go in the alley.
Yeah.
Gradually, I started, learning how to play with it, and I always respect motorcycles. That's one thing. A lot of people, they get really, really careless because they think just because you know how to ride now or you have a few years that you could be careless, and no matter what, you always have to. I pray every time I get on a motorcycle because I hear so many stories, and I know people personally that but. The good thing about motorcycle, I call it wind therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's the best thing ever.
It's a great place to worship the Lord on. I'll tell you that, man.
It has to
Because
be.
if you're praying sometimes, and it's you and the Lord there. But
absolutely.
yeah, I've got you've got more guts than me. Those sports bikes are a little faster. I've got the Road King. So
You got the Road King.
I got the Road King, and then
the big boy.
It was
That's
a big
something.
boy. It was one of my goals. One of the things I teach is you got to have 3 accounts, and one of those accounts is for goals. And so what I did is I
that.
saved up for that Road King, and then ended up tricking it out a little bit. So I
Absolutely.
think Carlos has seen it. So
Are those Road Kings? Are they similar to the Street Gliders? Is that what the or what?
yeah, it's a little bit. It's just under the street glide,
Okay.
or the road
Okay.
glide. So
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't have the big front end.
Okay.
I like
You know-
the wind in my face.
Hey, I was gonna ask him. That was gonna be one of the questions. What Harley? Which one would he take? A Sportster or a Street Glider? But he has Road King, so we
Yeah.
already know what he likes, right?
It's right there in the middle. So
Man,
Awesome.
that's
So when
awesome,
did you
man.
get into motorcycles?
there was a ministry, or there is a ministry I'm a part of called the Redeemed Riders Motorcycle Ministry, and that's really what caught my eye about motorcycles. So it was the fact that, one, I enjoyed it. It's pretty cool, right? A good time for wind therapy, like
Yes.
like my brother said.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we're able to go out there and serve people with it. So it's a tool at the end of the day for me. And so that ministry, if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have got the motorcycle. It's the truth.
Oh, so you didn't ride before that?
No, I learned how to ride in an alley in the city of Chicago
See, that's how you
years
learn.
ago. I figured if you hit something, they're garbage cans. You're okay, But then I didn't ride for probably 10 years, and so my wife gave me the thumbs
Thumbs
up.
up.
And,
Yeah, you gotta get that.
So it was a goal. She said, if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? So
Right.
so she gave me the thumbs up. We had the savings for it, and so that's what we ended up doing. Because of the ministry was expanding out to Elgin, I saw that as my time to get it. So
Good for you. Let me ask you
Yeah.
this: does your wife ride with you?
sometimes,
Okay.
because she had a brother with a Gixxer that raced a little too fast with her. She's not. There's a little hesitation there, but so thank you all those Gixxers that are out there. No, I'm just kidding. But
They give everybody bad names, right? Absolutely.
No.
My bike that I bought was from a guy that his wife said, "You know what? You're done.
you're done.
You no more riding for you, and you got to listen to the wife.
Yeah.
The wife, hey, you're
Se-
done.
se
You're done.
acabó.
That's
Yeah.
it. And
Shut it down.
Fortunately for me, I got it at a very good price.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, he had it to.
So that's a great segue to when did you meet your wife?
Oh man, that's I think where is more interesting than when. So it's over 24 years ago. I met her. I was her boss. So yeah, I was her boss.
Okay.
And I said, if you don't date me, you're fired. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That's not what happened.
She is watching this right now. You heard her?
No,
La
it-
joda habichuela no le da esta noche.
I'm in trouble when I get home. No. But yeah, that's we met at the before I started my business. We worked together, and I was a call center manager, and she was one of the phone reps. So that's where we met, and she'll tell you a different story. That's a long story for today, but about a year after we met, we started dating. So
Okay. How did you propose to her?
oh man, you're really going in with some good questions.
Did you do the
Carlos.
whole knee? Down on your knee?
No, I'm kind of corny joke guy, so I'm
Okay.
dad jokes but I did it over a game of catchphrase.
Okay. Explain.
Yeah, so if you've ever played catchphrase, it's like the what would you call it? Hot potato. It's a combination of hot potato and I can't remember the other. You kind of got to act things out, and they have to guess what you're saying.
Okay.
Anyways,
Like
whatever
charades?
Charades. There we go.
Okay.
So, but with the hot potato, you got to pass the thing, right?
Okay.
So. It was something, and don't quote me on this, but it was something to the effect of
Be careful.
No, it was we were all playing because we're real competitive in our family with that game. And then when it came to me, everybody stopped guessing so that she would guess because everybody was in on it. It's, what do you call it when they go down on one knee? And what do you call it when, the man loves the wife or his girlfriend and wants to live his whole life with her and, kind of giving clues until she said, marriage. And I'm like, and that was my opportunity to propose. So I proposed right there.
So she said marriage, and you said, "Will you marry me?"
Literally, yeah. Just got down on a knee and took out the ring and proposed.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Give
awesome.
it up for him, man.
Just give it up. Let's give it up. Let's get a drop. Do a drop. Do a drop. That's not a drop. That's a song for his music. There you go. That was a song for his song.
Let's get an applause.
It's funny, but it's my story.
Hey, no, it's original, man.
Yeah.
It's something that you never hear a lot.
What's this step for his song music we got going on here?
I hear the music, yeah. Somebody's
you
having
go.
a good time back there. Yeah.
So, what got you into church?
Oh, another great question. Actually, I was sharing with some of the brothers here today that emptiness that I felt in my life at that time. You know, I was probably, I don't know, 19, 20 years old, somewhere around there, and I kind of got tricked into coming to church and accepting the Lord. I say that jokingly, but I was empty. You know, I felt this void in my life, and I happened to go by my aunt's house. And she saw me and she says, you know, nephew, something looks a little different about you. You know, your face, something, is everything okay? And I said to her, I don't know. I just feel empty. Like, I feel like there's no purpose. I feel that there's something missing in my life. And she says, I know what you need. I know what you need. Meet me here tomorrow at about 6:00. And I thought, like most Puerto Rican aunts, you know, I thought she was going to make me food. So I came the next day ready to eat, hungry, hadn't eaten all day. And she says, okay, get in the car. I said, man, in the car? I'm going to get in the car. I guess she's taking me out to eat. She's not going to cook me food, right? And she took me right to our church. And that day, I accepted the Lord. I knew that emptiness, that void, that God void that I had was God, right? So I accepted Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior that day. And the rest is history, as they say. So
you came to Christ first, and then you brought along your family?
Yes. So I actually got saved first, and then I met my wife, and then in that same time, started my business. So it was in the right order, right? God, family, and then everything else.
So now, Victor Rivera, today, what does Victor Rivera do today? What is your business? Are you still in the same business?
Yes, same business. Yep. We teach people the rules of money. So it's more, some would call financial coaching, consulting, whatever word you want to put on it. I believe it's teaching people what the banks, insurance companies, investment companies have for many, many years held as secrets. And I believe that everybody should have financial knowledge, that it should be common knowledge. Unfortunately, it's not. You know, there's a few that have and a lot more that don't have. So what I do is I teach people the rules of money, how money works.
Is it just the rules of money, or do you also, because I'm just asking this question because I'm already a client.
Yeah.
I'm a client. What about also insurances? Because you could use insurance as also a part of that financial coaching
absolutely.
you do, right?
Yeah, so the way that I look at that is, think about it like when I was a kid, you know, we would make these cakes out of the box, right? Or pancakes out of a box, right? All the ingredients are inside of it, but there's a set of instructions on the box itself, right? So I believe having a financial game plan is the instructions, but you're still going to need some products to be able to create the financial independence, right? And so those can be insurance, investments, debt elimination strategies, loans. So I have philosophies that we teach that are time-tested. I believe that too often, and you and I talked about this, that we're looking for a lightning in a bottle, get rich quick. And what I've found in 21 years of experience in managing thousands of clients, it's not get rich quick, but you can get there over time if you had the right roads to them. Think about it like having a GPS, right? If I'm getting here for the very first time, I'm going to need a set of instructions, how to get from point A to point B, right? And everybody's road is a little bit different, but I need to know which ones are the ones that are going to get me there. And so it isn't cookie cutter for every situation, but insurance is definitely one of those topics that we don't talk enough about. And nowadays I see that we're actually being offered the wrong types. So, you know, we get taken advantage of.
Like what are the wrong types?
So our philosophy is this, you know, you should have insurance for insurance. You should have investments for investments. And so the wrong kind is the one that puts those two together, where you put insurance and investments together and we sell it as a wealth building strategy. The reality is the ones who become wealthy are the ones that are selling it, not the people that actually purchase it. And so I teach people to separate those two to get, as an example, life insurance, right? You want life insurance that has the lowest cost with the highest benefit amount. Well, that product's called term insurance. And so the opposite of that would be what's called cash value life insurance. They put different words on it or different names, whether it's indexed universal life insurance, whole life, variable universal life. So it has different names, but it's insurance with savings combined. That's a red flag that you have to review that. Make sure you're not in the wrong kind.
And there's a lot of that out there.
Yeah, it's being marketed more and more these days. You know, the unfortunate part is that it's not being marketed on need, but greed. Because I'm a licensed professional. I have an insurance license. And anywhere across the industry, if I sell the kind that has insurance and investments together, I'll get paid more. So the leaning in most cases is the pocket of the individual. And that's why I teach our folks, don't lead with your wallet, lead with the heart. If you lead with your heart, you never have to remember what you said. It's like telling the truth, right? If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember what you said because the truth is always
You don't
what?
have to remember a lie.
It's the truth, right?
So let's say I was a kid just out of college, and I'm starting my life now. I got a job. I got a little bit of money in the bank. What can I do to gain? And I have no financial knowledge of anything. What can I do to? How would you start that person off in their financial in their life?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think if I'm in that scenario, I'm young, you know, don't have kids, I'm just getting started in life. The best thing that I could do is eliminate all of my debt. Focus on eliminating any debt. The problem is nowadays, you know, anybody that has maybe some student loan debt, credit card debt, car debt, right? Motorcycle debt, hopefully not, right? But we have debt, and debt is one of the things that's holding us back the most from doing some of the things that we would do otherwise. So if, let's say I'm a young man that says, man, I want to be a part of mission work, right? But I can't afford the mission trip because I'm paying high interest credit cards, or I'm giving money over to credit card companies. I would say let's focus on eliminating debt and saving, right? But also on top of that, learning how to manage the dollars that we have. I believe it's more about stewardship with what we do have, right? Because at that young age, you're probably in your first, you know, you're starting to earn some money, right? Straight out of college, maybe you got some debt. Well, it's not about the amounts of dollars I have. It's about what I do with the dollars that I do have. So as an example, to get out of debt, it's great to have a plan. I teach what's called debt stacking. Maybe we'll talk about that. But saving at the same time. Here's why. Here's what I know what's going to happen. And you tell me, I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys, but you ever have an emergency?
Absolutely.
That costs money?
Absolutely.
I remember my first engine blew. Anybody? I don't know if that ever happened. Your transmission goes out, tires go out, right?
Trains go out, yeah.
We're talking about thousands of dollars, right? And so what do we do if we don't have savings? We get back into what?
Our credit cards.
Right.
That's the first thing you pull out is the credit card.
Right back in debt, right? And so it's easy. Debt's easy to get into, but it's hard to get out of without a plan, right? So one of the things I teach is that a debt elimination plan should be followed with a savings plan, because the next emergency is going to happen. And if I don't have savings, guess what? I'm back in.
Credit cards.
Right. So so those two things are important. I think it's getting out of debt, having a plan to eliminate your debt in the quickest way possible. Banks they are not going to teach us how to do that. We got to have a structured way. And then we have to save. Save, save, save. That's the best thing that you could do. And then invest.
So what's the percentage you say a month someone should be saving?
That's good. That's a good question. I look at it, if I'm looking at a percentage basis, we should be saving 20% of our income. 20%. That's a good number. But let's be honest. Sometimes we're in positions where we can't. Right? And so that's where I say if things are tight, 10%.
10%.
We should be paying ourselves first 10%. Because I look at ourselves like a bill, right? You know, if you're doing your budget, you should put your family name on the budget and say, hey, this is a bill. My family's a bill.
That's good. That's real good.
Pay myself, and then guess what I'm going to do? As soon as I can save more every year, I increase automatically my savings by 10%. Because you don't feel it. Think about it. If you're saving $100, let's say that was $100. Next year, can I save $110? Sure. I may have to cut back the McDonald's or something
Netflix.
else, right? That's right. So I may have to cut off some subscriptions, but $10 more, you don't even feel it. But over time, that's a huge impact. I met with a client this week, young man. We were saving $100 a month. We did the math. And then I said, you know what we're going to do is we're going to save 10% more. And I put it in a financial calculator. That was an extra $100,000 over time for him. Just that little habit. So it's not the dollars as much as it is the habits.
Awesome. So let's go to credit. So we're talking about credit. Me and my partner were talking about credit earlier. We always talk about credit and how both of our credits were shot. How does somebody with very low credit score fix their credit?
Yeah, I try to affect the things that affect most your credit. 65% of your credit score on average is the types of debt, number one, and payment history. So that's 65% of your score. Now there's other things and we can go into them, but why not attack what attacks your credit the most? Those two, right? So what is the types of credit? Number one, revolving debt. I don't believe there is a good debt. I know we use that a lot in our industry. Good debt is your mortgage. Good debt is fixed debt. And if I had to choose between the two, I think that's a fair statement. Mortgage is a good debt compared to a credit card. Credit card is revolving debt. That would be considered the bad debt. It affects our credit score the most. So that's number one, reducing the credit cards. Number two is never using more than 30% of what you have available. So if you have a credit card for $1,000, we shouldn't use more than $300 at a time, and then pay that down and continue. That'll build up your credit. So history of payment over time. That's the second thing. Making sure that you don't miss payments. No missed payments, no late payments, and then attacking the revolving debts.
Awesome, awesome. So let me know how that tastes.
Man, this looks amazing. We got all kinds of fruits and all kinds of stuff going on here. I'm gonna take a bite and I'll let you know how it is. Look at that, so good, it's falling apart. Bro,
Great.
this is delicious, yep.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. So if you guys are interested in that, look at this. They're right down the street. I'll put the name, description, everything on the bottom of this this post. Gotta go. Peace. Flava.
Yeah, this looks right here like a big old chocolate chip.
Tell me how it tastes.
I'll tear it up, bro. Bro, stop it. Look at it.
Oh wow.
Shut the door, bro.
So the flavor engineer, you say yes, thumbs up?
Thumbs up, bro.
All right.
Sorry, I can't talk, but
Let's go. Let's go. So we're back, and I got some questions for the pastor. Let me put this away. You know what? I don't need this right now. It's not a Bible. It's for my notes. It's for my notes. I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to quiz you.
No, don't do that. Don't do
Philippians 3:17. Can everybody hear that? That's my partner chewing on candy. So this is the icebreaker. So you gotta pick one, right? So you can pick one, you can pick both, but you have to explain why you picked them. Okay? So
Fair enough.
Start off a little real easy, real easy. You gonna jump in on this one, Jay?
You know what?
You didn't jump in on the last one.
Yeah, but
If you got one, jump in.
I'll freestyle. I'll freestyle this.
I'm freestyling right now.
I'm freestyling.
I'm
Let's
freestyling
go.
right now.
Let's
Okay.
freestyle. Let's
So,
go.
Harley Davidson or good Lord, I forgot the name of that
Indian?
motorcycle. An Indian, yes.
There's victory too, but what's the question?
Which one?
Well,
If you had a choice,
you only named one motorcycle,
I said Harley Davidson and the Indian. Isn't it two different bikes?
but you only named one motorcycle, the Harley.
What about the Indian?
See, this,
not
you don't
classified
get it
it.
yet.
You
You
see?
don't get it
That's
yet.
not classified as a motorcycle.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
kidding. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I'm about to go to We Didn't
They
Pick
don't
Yet.
He's
caught it.
hardcore. He's hardcore.
He got it.
I caught
Okay,
it.
you
He's
motorcycle
hardcore.
guys know about
Yeah,
that. I did not know about that.
No, there's a like a rivalry
Yeah.
there, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
honestly, I like them both. They're really beautiful motorcycles. Indian has a lot of history, but they were discontinued for a while. So.
Yeah. But they're back. They're
Yeah, they're
back.
back.
And
Strong.
they look strong as
Yeah.
ever.
Mhm.
They look,
Yeah.
I mean, so a lot of people don't understand that Indian was the first bike before Harley, right? They were out there. They were the first American bike out there. Whatever case may be, they went under, and Harley just took everything by storm. So when you ask a man, like Pastor Victor, who rides a Harley, which one he likes better, of course he's gonna say Harley, no matter hands down.
I'm a little biased.
A little, just a little
bit.
Un poquito.
No, I'll say Harley though.
Absolutely,
But I
man.
love my Indian brothers and the even those Gixxers, man. Those things are beautiful, you know. So I'd probably second bike would be a Gixxer.
I got a classic. I got a 99 Gixxer 750, all original.
That's nice.
Yeah, real
red, white, and blue, or
I have actually. I don't know if you ever heard of this movie called Paid in Full. It's back in the day with
Sounds familiar.
camera.
It's
It's
a
old
movie.
school. It's 90s. Well, it's a red, black with the gold. Everything. I still have the sticker from the manufacturer on there as well. So
that's my color scheme, red and black on my bike.
Yeah, that's it. I'll show you a picture.
That's cool. That's
Cool,
cool.
cool. So next question will be white rice or Puerto Rican rice?
Well, is it white Puerto Rican rice or is it?
It's white Puerto Rican rice.
Okay, white Puerto Rican rice. That's tough. That's a tough question. I love my arroz con gandules, but you know I gotta say if I had to pick, I'm gonna go with the white rice with habichuelas.
Got to be with the sauce.
Yes.
A lot of people on this show has been they've been saying that with the sauce with habichuela. It was Jesse Fuentes.
Yeah.
Who was it? Matthew Lyon. Who else
They
said
even
it?
said throw an egg on top of it. And we're
Oh,
good.
we're
you
good to
know?
go.
That
Yeah.
was Melissa Dupre.
Yeah.
That was Melissa Dupre.
A fried egg.
That's golden, baby.
We're ready.
Okay.
Yes.
So Tom or Jerry?
Oh man, that's Jerry. Yeah.
Why Jerry?
Because he had wisdom.
Okay, explain how.
Jerry's the mouse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's just witty.
Yeah.
He outwitted Tom too many times. So
Okay.
he just, I feel like he thought things out.
Yeah.
So that's my,
A lot of people like Jerry, man.
A lot of people like
Everybody
Jerry,
goes.
I
for
felt
Jerry.
bad for Tom. I felt bad for him. You know, he put himself in a lot of predicaments, you know?
Okay. So Superman or Batman?
Uh-oh. Yeah, I mess with my kids about this all the time. So I'm going to say Batman.
Why Batman?
Batman because he's a man. Number one, he's and when he wasn't Batman,
Wait a second, but it's still Superman and Batman.
yeah, no, but Superman wasn't a man. He's what,
wasn't a-
Kryptonian or whatever
Yeah,
that's called, right?
Kryptonian man.
Yeah.
He was.
Okay, but go ahead.
But I get that. Yeah,
I digress.
He had no superpowers, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and when he wasn't a hero, he was billionaire. You know, gave money. Well, that's questionable, but you know, his character, he was more a regular Joe with no powers, making
Absolutely.
impact in his
Yeah.
community. So
Okay,
that's what
I choose Superman. You want to know why?
Yes, tell me.
Because we are not from this world.
Santo.
Superman's not from this world.
Santo. Okay, you went.
Come on, somebody.
He just spiritualized.
Come
it.
on, somebody.
I'll pray for you about that. Yeah.
So Toyota or Nissan?
Toyota.
Since we're here in Chicago.
Toyota.
That's what Chicago, right? People in Chicago say Toyota. Why Toyota?
You know, I had a Toyota Supra when I was a kid, and I didn't know what I had. So
What year?
That one hurt. Like 95, I want to say 95 Supra. Yeah, he had a Supra.
No, I had a SR 520 can 1985 or 84, and then I had a Toyota 1.8 4-door and 83. You know, the straight Boricua cars.
Yeah.
But the Toyota Supra,
Yeah.
just like he said, at that age, that was the car everybody wanted, was the Supra.
Yeah, and I didn't know what I had, so I ended up trading it for another car, and yeah, it just kept the challenge was you could put any Toyota key in the door and they pop it.
They sold mine.
So yeah, so
You said they stole yours?
They stole
Yeah.
mine with a club.
Yeah.
You remember the club?
Yeah.
They stole it. They were able to, like he said, it's like a master. You could pop it open.
For all you Gen Zs, you guys don't know about the club. The club was a device we put on the steering wheel
Man.
to hold the steering wheel from moving, and they couldn't steal your car. But apparently, they stole the
They stole the with the club and everything. They didn't
Yeah.
care. You know what they did? They saw the steering wheel, and that's how they were able
you
to
could pop it right
the-
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over there by Humble Park, too.
Yep.
That was the wrong place to have a Toyota out there. You got to have a garage. You know, I mean, those things were hot in the 90s, man.
Yeah.
They're still hot now.
I bought a Toyota way in my 30s, and it wasn't a nice one. It was Toyota Tercel, and it was a rust bucket stick shift. But that car lasted me
lasted.
for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It lasted me for a long time.
The
Jay,
bu-
you're up.
Yeah, the body will fall before the actual engine on those Toyotas, you know. So let me ask you something. What food? Okay, we're gonna talk about food because I love eating. All right. So if you had a choice between carne guisada and lechon, which one would you get?
Carne guisa.
Why?
And
Carne-
we're talking about pollo guisado, right?
Okay, we could say pollo guisado versus lechon.
Okay, yeah.
We could say pollo guisado.
I like chicken.
Okay.
So that's the first thing that came to my mind, pollo guisado. And lechon, I don't eat it as often.
I hear that a lot.
But it's so good.
It is so good.
Con el cuerito.
And I like making it.
The lechon?
Yeah. Once a year, I like making it, but just doesn't agree with me.
Well, hold on. You like making it for the family?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go behind me right now. Can you do camera 3? Camera 3, please. Young man, how is his lechon? 10 out of 10. You know you work for him. You don't have to. I mean, he works for you. You don't have to tell him.
But I will say my grandpa's
Yeah.
11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, next level.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Papi's, nobody beats Papi. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Pastor, I got some questions here.
Yeah. Let's go.
What is wrong right now with the insurances? Some insurances out there. What's the bad and what's the good that's out there right now?
Yeah, so I think we'll start with the good. The good thing about having like life insurance is specifically what we're talking about is that you protect your income. That's the good, right? So think about some of us that have kids, right? We have wives, husbands, right? You're married couples and you have responsibilities, right? So when you have a high amount of responsibilities and people depending on you, you should have a high amount of protection. So the good news is that life insurance allows you to buy, if I was visualizing it, bags of money for your family if something happens today. I don't have $1 million in my hands yet, and if I pass away, the insurance will pay out my family $1 million, which is not $1 million. $1 million 20 years ago was $1 million. Now $1 million is not the same, right? 'Cause
Right.
all the costs have gone up,
Inflation and
right?
everything, yep.
But if I take 10% of that $1 million, my family, once I'm no longer here, that provides $100,000 a year of income. Does that make sense? So I pass away, my income passes away with me, but this other thing, life insurance, now produces an income for my family. That's what's good with life insurance. It supplies a need for my family. Something happens, God forbid, to me, right? What's wrong with it, now let me go back and say this, because you asked me a good question earlier about young people. Who needs life insurance is another good question.
Right.
Because not everybody needs life insurance. It's being sold as an investment now, unfortunately, but you only need life insurance if someone depends on your income.
Okay.
Think about home insurance. Home insurance protects what? Your home.
Yeah.
Car insurance, you crash, it protects what?
The car.
Your car. Health insurance, right? Pays the health bills, right? Life insurance, you die, they cut a check to the hospital, bring you back to life?
No.
Has nothing to do with your life, has everything to do with our income. So that's what life insurance was supposed to do, replace our income, right? So that brings me to the other side. Now, what does that? Protects our income the best way possible? Term life insurance. Higher amount of coverage, lower amount of cost, right? Then we look at the other side of things, which is what's wrong with it. To understand what's wrong with it, I'm going to play a little game with you guys if you're okay with that. Let's call this game good or bad.
Okay.
Okay, so you tell me if this is good or if it's bad. Number one, if you had a savings vehicle that you paid for 4 years and you had zero, would you consider that on average, right? For 4 years, you paid, and you say, how much do I have in my account? And they say zero. Would you consider that good or bad?
Well, if you have zero in your account, it's bad, wouldn't it?
That's bad. You paid for it for 2 to 4 years and you have zero. That's pretty bad, right? Feature number 2, if you ever want your money, they could deny contractually, in most cases, deny your request up to 6 months. Good or bad?
Bad.
Bad. Okay. Number 3, if you ever want to take money out of that account, you have to pay someone else interest to touch your own money. Good or bad?
Bad.
Bad. And if you die, 9 out of 10 times you die, they get to keep your savings. Good or bad?
Really bad.
Pretty bad, right? And so those 4, I read a book once called The Mortality Merchants, the legalized racket of the insurance industry and what you can do about it. And in that book, they talked about what they called the 4 funny banking rules, that if you had an account that worked like that, you would never put money in there. But when you put insurance and investments together or savings together, that's how they work. So now some would argue with me and say, well, Victor, you could pay more and get both. If you die, you get your insurance and your savings. Yeah, but you're paying more. And so if you separate your insurance and your investments, you could have more insurance if you pass away today when you need it the most, and more investments down the road because you paid less for your insurance.
Okay.
So that's kind of what's good, what's bad. I kind of teach through illustration. Can't really do that here, but
Oh, that would have been cool.
that would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
We'll work on that.
Interesting. All right. So I have a personal question. Well, this is something that affected me growing up. I know we touched on things like, we want to teach these kids, right, at a very young age, financial responsibility, right? Growing up, they don't teach us that in school, which is really messed up, right? For those that are currently watching right now, and are going through any financial aid issues, is there any help out there which could help pay back their student loans or any forgiveness program that could help kids out? And the reason why I say that is because I went to school, right? I went to college or whatnot. I didn't know nothing about financial aid, right? So I go inside the loan office or whatever, the financial assistant, and they're just making me sign my signature, right?
So
I'm just signing these things away, right? I'm a young kid. I had no clue what I'm signing, right? Later, throughout the years, okay, they're going to give you a loan, right? But you got to pay that loan back, right? And I'm thinking like, oh, wow, okay, loans for books, loans for the classes, whatever amount that you qualify for. I got that. They send you a check, and then you have a little left over, right? Now you think you're a baller because now you're spending that, right? Because that's what I did. I bought me some Jordans or something like that. Not knowing that extra money should have went somewhere else. I should have did something smart with it. Anyway, long story short, after I graduated, right, from college, I was trying to look for a job, right? Now, the only way I was able to look for a job, I was submitting a bunch of applications and I never got a job. So you have about 6 months to start paying on those loans, right? As a student. The problem is that no job wanted to hire me because I didn't have no experience. So I'm saying to myself, if I don't have no experience, how do you want me to pay this loan? And why are you giving me 6 months, right? And then there's a forbearance which you could apply, which puts the loan towards the end of whatever duration, right?
Yep.
Long story short, I still didn't get the job, right? So I started getting garnishment.
Wage garnishment, yep.
Yeah, so for those out there right now that probably going through a similar situation or probably where I'm at, what advice do you have for them?
Well, the first thing is make the call. What I found is that because it seems like this big mountain, we avoid making the call to the financial aid, right? Or to the lender rather, right? So we say, well, I'm going to put this off. I don't have the money anyways. And it becomes worse.
Right.
The
That's
problem
what I
becomes
did.
worse.
Yep.
So what I'd rather do is call them and let them know, hey, listen, I'd like to get on an income-based payment plan. Because it's based off of your income. They know you're a student. They know you can only afford so much. So then they work with you. So what I've done in a lot of cases, I just jump on a 3-way call with them and kind of help navigate that conversation. So it's number one, making the phone call, right? Number two, do the math. do the math. Find out what this amount of payment, how long is it going to take me to pay this off? I believe we should pay off debt. That's biblical, right? Pay. If I owe, I should pay, right? However, there's also programs that come out like right now. We've got approved, what was $5 billion of loan forgiveness. Well, there's money that's being given. Okay, now I'm not going to get take a political stance on that.
Right.
But the point is there's money that's there, and if you qualify, they'll forgive. We had a sister at our church. She'd been struggling silently, and that's another thing. Point number 3 is don't struggle alone.
Okay.
Talk to somebody.
Because I felt like I was alone, man.
You do.
I felt like, you know what, I had that weight, which is messed up because I'm looking for a job. I'm not given the opportunity. Now they're garnishing my paycheck. And it's like an domino effect. Now my credit score is going down because they're reporting
because of payment history.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a big part. The 65% is a big part is payment history, right? So as long as you're making a payment and it's an income-based payment, then it's not going to affect your credit. And so that's a big key. But don't suffer alone. Talk to somebody. Call a financial coach. Have us work with you. A lot of we don't. Well, I can't say all, but I don't charge to have those conversations.
I
right?
think
this is great.
I think most people they're embarrassed, so they don't want to ask for the help because they're ashamed. They're embarrassed.
Right.
They don't want people knowing their business. It's like, when I first came to you, I know you. I've been knowing you before you were a pastor, I think I met you in the basement of Jason's basement years ago.
That's exactly right, yeah.
For me to tell you that day, I'm going through some financial issues here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It'll be hard to say it to a stranger, you know what I'm saying? Or even when I get to know you, I'm like, now you're gonna know my business that I haven't been a good steward of my money, my finances. So I think that's one of the issues why people don't go out and ask for help. They rather go get a loan that's going to rape them. Yeah. Because they're trying to pay off another loan, but then they're stuck with this other loan.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I just wanted to share. You got to go to a place where you're not going to be judged. You're going to be judged. The beautiful thing about where I'm at, everybody I meet with gets a privacy agreement. So it's a confidentiality agreement. I'm not going to share any of what we talk about. You can, but I can't. And so you want to go to a place that you trust, number one, and judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think you being young, you just don't know where to go. Yeah. You just don't know where to go. You don't know about these programs. So let me ask you. You kind of mentioned, you kind of touched on a $5 billion plan, or what is that? It
just was recently approved, and I don't have those specifics with me today. But if you have questions on it, somebody, one of the viewers have a question, share my number. We'll walk through it with them. But
just in case we forget, share your number right now.
Yeah, 224-244-8831. So that's 224-244-8831.
It'll be on the screen. Do you have a tag? Do you have like an Instagram?
Yeah, my financial builder. Yeah, my financial builder. We that's kind of a funny thing we could talk about later.
What's the name of your business?
My personal business. Yeah. I've got my own financial business. Okay. But if you look me up through there, my financial builder, you'll find me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Okay, you can finish now. I'm sorry.
No.
I want to make sure because sometimes we forget to do that.
Yeah, to connect. Yeah.
We want to make sure we
want to plug you.
Yeah, for sure. So the deal is the government approved federal funding to basically forgive loans. So they put $5 billion out there. And it may be more. I just saw the article the other day, or the update on it. But as long as you apply, then you have the potential to get approved. And they have stipulations. The last round that they put through was for educators. So if you went into education, teachers as an example, you got forgiven. I had a client that got forgiven a couple $100,000 because he hadn't paid it for, not that he hadn't paid it, he was on payment, but he had a student loan for over 20 years.
Wow.
The interest rate is ridiculous on those student loans.
The positive is it's fixed interest, which means that it's not like credit card interest that's compounding. So you could pay a credit card technically for like 50 years, if you're making minimum payments, and then sometimes they play the game of lowering your minimum payments. That's one tip I tell people with debt. Even if they lower your minimum payment and we put a plan in place, don't lower your minimum payment because that'll extend your amount of time in debt. So But going back to your first question or the previous question, make sure that you see the math. How long is it going to take you to pay off at this payment? Because you don't want to get set into a payment, not look at it, right? Because it's out of sight, out of mind, and then find out 20 years later, all you were doing was servicing the interest.
Jesus, 20 years later.
20 years later. And thousands of clients that I've worked with, I've seen it.
So what is a good amount of years to pay off a hefty loan?
Depending on the type of loan, I always tell people if I had a perfect year of a loan for a car, I would say it's 3 years.
3. Wow.
3 years is that's my sweet spot, right? So if we can leverage eliminating some of the other debt, and then once we eliminate it, use those payments to apply it towards car loans and student loans, we want to do that. And then the perfect year on a mortgage, in my opinion, is a 15-year mortgage. It's the perfect time on a mortgage.
Well, most mortgages are 30 years, right?
30 years, yeah. So what happens in a 30-year loan, I used to teach this all the time, but in a 30-year loan, it takes on average 22 years to be halfway done paying your mortgage. That means that all of the interest was on the front of the loan. So that's why you're 22 years and now you're only halfway done paying.
We need to sit down and talk.
So whereas in a 15-year, 7 years, you're halfway done. So just about the halfway mark. So it's, in my opinion, the perfect mortgage. What if you can't afford the 15-year mortgage? That's a question I get.
Because that's actually paying a little bit more, right?
You're paying more, so that increases your payment.
Right.
Then instead, you want to do two things. Number one, let's eliminate all of the other debt. And then once we're done with that, apply that payment directly to the principal of the mortgage. And in essence, your effective rate is a lot lower, right? So you eliminate it quicker, save interest. Number two, make a biweekly payment. So if you're paying $1,500 a month, divide that by 2, send $750, and then every 2 weeks, talk to your lender. Sometimes they can apply it right away. But in essence, what you're going to do is you're going to make an extra payment a year and knock down the principal.
That's right. Okay. That sounds good. Some good info.
Yeah.
So what do you say about wealth building? What are your thoughts on wealth building and how do people wealth build?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say wealth building, because it's a hot topic right now, right? And I would even say generational wealth, right? That from generation to generation to generation, that our children's children we'd pass that down, right? I think that's what wealth is not meant for, or I will use it, but it's ultimately going to serve my future generations, right? So that they can go out there and do missions and ministry and kingdom building. And that's just my personal philosophy, right? But I think that wealth building starts with character building.
Okay. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think about this, right? A lot of the mistakes I've made, let's just be vulnerable, right? I got myself up to $40,000 of credit card debt. Now, if you've ever had that kind of debt, it's a weight.
Me and Jay looking at each other like.
well, I'm not the only one, right?
You're not the only one.
And so I remember sitting with a client that had $120,000 of credit card debt and lived in Humboldt Park. And it's easy to get into, hard to get out of without a plan. I mean, you talk about student loan debt. You go to college and there's about 12 tables set up by every bank imaginable giving you money, and you're at school.
It was super easy.
It's so easy to get in debt, right?
Yeah.
It's the paying part that hurts, right? That's the painful part. So when we talk about how I got myself in debt, I had character flaws. Before I started learning some of these wealth building strategies, I had character flaws. I bought it first, thought about it later. Right? Toyota had a body kit on it, right? That I couldn't afford, right? And I kid on that, but honestly, it was easy to buy it now because you think psychologically, I'm a person that I always figure it out before until you don't. Right? Until our backs get up against the wall, right? And now we can, and now bankruptcy is right around the corner. And so that's the position I put myself. Why? Because I didn't think in advance. There's a scripture that says, which one of you would build a tower without first considering the cost?
That's good.
I didn't consider the cost in advance. That's a character flaw that I had. So then I started to think in ink. I started to write things down and say, okay, if I do this, what's it going to cost me? And then I saw, man, they're getting rich. Credit card companies are getting rich off of my family when I could be building wealth for them instead of for, looking rich. You could create riches, true riches.
That's good.
Right. So, and that's the other thing. So the character flaws, number one, is I don't want to look rich. I'd rather be rich. Too often we look rich on the outside, right? I read a book when I was young called The Millionaire Next Door. Right, the millionaire next door, and you think millionaires, man, they've got the nice watches. I like watches. I'm into them. I like nice things, right? Too, like many people. But the millionaire next door typically has a Casio, and doesn't drive the fanciest cars.
I love the Casio.
Yeah, it's back. It came back.
The calculator one. I got one at home. Yeah.
That's hot right now. But it's not about looking a certain way. It's actually being it, right? And so the character flaws are, like as an example, getting in debt is about being impulsive.
That's right.
Right? When I was a kid, I remember this like yesterday. I used to go to the fruteria with my mom, and they had the little toys. They set us up all the time by the register, right? And mommy, yo quiero, I want. And then eventually, you know what mommy did? She didn't have the chancla, so it was cocotazo, right? I'm just kidding, mom. Love you. I know you're disciplining me. But it was impulsiveness, right? Well, when I got older, I never got rid of that impulsiveness. I wanted it, and I wanted it now, right? Instead of saving for it. So that's a character issue. And so if you want to build wealth, build your character. Learn to wait for tomorrow on things, right? Consider the cost. One way I fixed that was this. I implemented the 24-hour rule. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. No. But the 24-hour rule is this. If I'm going to make a purchase over a certain amount, let's say it's $200, I wait 24 hours.
Think about it. Is that what you're doing? You're thinking about it?
Yeah. Because it's exciting, man. You see that new hat, and it's like, I like hats, right? So I'm like, $45, right? Yeah. But let me wait 24 hours, and then maybe I go online and I see it for $30, and I'm like, oh, I'm glad I waited, right? And so maybe I saved for it now, right? I put the money aside, and then I went and owed no one nothing, like Scripture says, but to love them. Yeah. I didn't get myself in debt. Now my character changes, right? Saving is about character. Saving is about thinking about the future, not now. Investing is about not being patient, because investing is different than saving. Investing is, let's say I'm a fan of mutual funds. I think it's one of the, in my personal opinion, one of the greatest investment vehicles ever created that doesn't have you do it on your own or a computer doing it for you. And so it's about, let's say I'm looking at these investments, they may be down. Think about it. We just came out of a pandemic not too long ago, right? That's right. And so maybe you bought some investments before that were $10,000 and the value looked like $9,000. And now you say things like, I lost money. Well, that's character issue because I'm looking things on the surface. Right. But then if I dig a little bit deeper, I realize, wait a minute, I own the same number of shares. I only lost on paper, not in reality. I only lose if I panic, character. So I panicked out of my investments. Now I really lost them because I sold them. Yeah. Had I just waited, that would have went up to 12, 15, 20,000. Does that make sense? So patience.
Yeah, be patient.
So I got another question for you. So I saw this, I don't know if it was a meme or somebody was saying it. I think we spoke about this before, but I tend to forget things.
That happens with old age,
Yeah, I just do. But they were talking about how we pay taxes out of our checks, and then when we go to the grocery store, we pay taxes there. And then when we go buy a pair of shoes, we pay taxes there. It's like everywhere we go, they're taxing us, but we already got taxed in the beginning when we first got the government already took the tax. But now we're getting taxed when we go to the grocery store. Yeah. How does that work?
It's a great question. I think that, we have a system right in place. This is the system. Think about a game. If you have a game, doesn't every game have a set of rules?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then if you know the rules to the game, you have a chance of winning. Right? So I think that, I'm not giving tax advice, but, see your tax professional. However, I would say this, that if you were to learn the rules of the game, then you win. So let me give you one example. There's a investment strategy called a Roth IRA. It's a retirement account, right? It's just one of some of the ones that have tax benefits, right? You know, somebody told me this side note, if you don't, ignorance costs you more. You're losing money because of ignorance, because I didn't know, right? I didn't know the rules of tax saving strategies, but I digress. So a Roth IRA, I put money into a Roth IRA. Let's say, you know, I follow the S&P 500, which is one of the indexes. Historically, it's, you know, had an average return of, depending on the time you look, 8 to 12%, depending on the time frames you look at. So let's just say 8%. I put that money in there. It grows over time. Let's say I've got, right now you could put $7,000 a year into a Roth IRA if you're under age 50, okay? That 7,000 grows to 14, grows to 28, grows to 50, let's just say 50 for a simple number, turns into 100, 200, 400, $800,000, right? Well, all the money that I put in there, if I had it in a Roth IRA and I waited to retirement, is tax-free. As long as I had it in there 5 years and I'm over 59 and a half. How fast do we become 59 and a half? Don't answer that, gentlemen. We get there quicker than what we think, right? And so if that's going to be that quick and that money is going to grow over that time, well, we have the potential of having millions of dollars tax-free. So I was okay with paying taxes now as long as down the road I could take advantage of tax-free benefits. There's also what's called tax deductions. Right? We can take our dollars, put them into, let's say, 401ks. I've seen people tell people, put it in insurance, not in a 401k. That's a mistake. In most 401ks, you have matching. So your employer will give you free money if you put money in.
Yeah.
So now you're putting money in there, and the money you put in there lowers your tax liability because there's what's called tax brackets. So do we have to pay taxes? Yes. But you don't have to pay more than what you have to if you know the rules to the game.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. As far as retirement, 401k, what is the ideal percentage you will recommend? So let's say an employer matches you 6% at 100%, right? So whatever, if you put 6% of your total pay, they're going to match you 100%.
Yep.
What do you recommend as far as putting in percentage-wise into your 401k?
I like to go up to the match. So
only 6?
If they match me 6, I go 6. Here's why, and I'll explain.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
So that's anything over that is there's no extra free money, right? So what I like to do is I like to take advantage of all the free money, make sure that I'm picking my investment strategies. What I use a window analogy. I'll give that to you if it makes sense for today, how to pick. But once I go up to the match, then what I do is I maximize things like a Roth IRA outside. Because, and let's say I can only do 10%, that extra 4%, I put it into my Roth IRA, that's growing tax-free. Now, some 401ks will match you in the Roth 401k version. So you have what's called a 401k and a Roth 401k. So that also grows tax-free. Or that's tax-free withdrawals and grows tax-deferred. And as long as you take it after 59 and a half, you have no taxes on that.
You ain't got to pay
income.
taxes on it.
Correct.
Wow,
See your tax advisor on that.
Interesting. You know,
Yeah, so it depends. I didn't want to give you a vague answer, but
no. You know, that's pretty cool because I thought, let's say, the employer matches you, let's say, for this example, 6%, right? And whatever, you'll put 6%, right? Because that's all free money, 100%, right? But I always thought it was that much better if you go a little beyond, about 10 to 15%. Because when I take a look at Voya, which is my retirement, they're always suggesting 15%, right?
Sure.
So they'll have a chart there and they'll be like, all right, you're on track, you know, and they'll have something there and you're on track to hit this, but you have to put this in there, right? But it's never, so what I do normally, every time I get a bump and raise, I grab that money and I just put it in my 401k.
That's wisdom,
right? So
that's wisdom. Yeah,
you.
I would say I started off earlier by saying 20%.
20.
Right,
Wow.
you want to save and invest 20%, right?
Yeah.
However, it doesn't mean that I have to put it all in my 401k. I could put it in my traditional IRA, because you may need a tax deduction. So, I don't have it here, but let's say a married person, and again, see tax advisor regarding this, because every situation is different.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm a married couple filing jointly, okay, and let's say the 22% tax bracket goes up to 98,000. Let's just say I don't have it all memorized off the top of my head, but if I go now, I'm making 120,000. Now I'm in a new tax bracket, a higher one.
Right.
Well, then I may do it in my 401k because that'll bring down my taxable liability to a lower percentage. So it may make sense to do that because I'm paying less.
Yep.
So
that's tax is actually being reduced from your total because it's tax free, right?
Correct. So then your income, your taxable income is lower. Therefore, you pay a lower percentage.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
dropping
but
gems today, boy.
He is dropping gems. He is dropping gems.
But I agree with you on the first question. Should I have to pay income taxes, then pay sales taxes at the grocery store, then pay,
tax. I think that's why we're the richest country in the world, because we tax for everything.
And we also have a lot of debt, but that's as a country as well. So here, let me ask you a question. Where do you think taxes are going? We're in the highest debt that we've ever had as a nation. And one of the ways we pay for it is taxes, right? Yeah. What do you think?
Is it going to the military, or is it going to the politicians' pockets? One of the two.
That's a good question. So all I'm saying is that if there's a potential for us to have to pay more taxes, because that's part of the conversation right now, right? Mm-hmm. And you had to pay 4% more taxes. Where do you get the extra, on average, $166 a month from in taxes?
Your retirement, your Social Security.
So now I have to reduce expenses somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I better take advantage of the tax benefits that are out there.
Yep.
If not, things are going to get a little tight for a lot of people.
Oh, every New Year, everybody, Happy New Year. Thank the Lord. Lord, you gave me a new year. But every time that new year comes, new taxes come. And everything increases, right? And it's like, why does this happen every new year? Oh, we're enforcing this, or this is going to go up, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, my God. So every time I get a raise, let's say I get a 3% raise, right? Well, that 3% raise, it's not really going to do anything. I mean, I'm just saying, you can stop me. But that 3% raise is probably $1, $1.50, $2, right? Whatever the case may be. But all these new taxes, just state tax, local tax, city tax, federal tax and whatnot. Now that $3 raise is zero, right? With all these taxes. So I always get frustrated when I'm like, there's always new taxes, and I'm like, oh my God, this raise that I got, it just evens out at zero. Yeah.
That's why having a coach is so important.
Yeah.
Because the coach can see things from a different angle that you can't see. Right, into the sports analogy, right? They're outside of the game, but they're going to the coaching camps, and they're getting all the new plays, right? Having a financial coach, that's why it's so important, because we're our ears on the ground, right? We're listening to what's changing, and then we can help people to adjust so that we ultimately win the money game. Because we're all playing a game, this money game, but many of us, like I was, are losing.
So I got another question before we end this. Can you tell me a struggle that you've been through and God has gotten you out of?
That's a great question. There was a lot of struggles. Early on, I would say maybe when I was a little bit younger, and the struggles were built from a business standpoint, I'm assuming we're talking. Starting a business with no information, I really had to lean on God. I really had to be, like your sweater says, faith strong, right? I had to build that faith muscle and trusting in the Lord, because I was trusting in my own strength. Like if you're like me, the way I grew up is you make things happen. Have you ever said that? I'm the type of person that makes things happen. Yeah. And the problem is when you make things happen on your own strength versus with faith, with God's strength, you're limiting what God can do. You're trying to do what only God could have done in your life. And so for me, it's learning to grow my faith muscle. The Bible says that we're all given a measure of faith. So we got a measure of faith. But like some of us look like you in the faith built up, right? And you know, you look like your physical. This man is cut up. If you're not seeing this guy's the rock of this house here. But you know, some of us are built up, right? And then some of us have, you know, teeny weeny faith muscles, right? And so for me at that younger stage, it's just the first thing that came to my mind was trusting in the Lord. That's what he helped me with, or that's what I had to learn, how to not trust him, lean on my own understanding. But in all that I do lean on him. So I don't know if that's kind of answers your question, but it's the first thing that came to my mind.
It does, but I want to know another struggle. A struggle that you could share with us that doesn't not have to deal with business.
Okay. Man, you should have given me this ahead of time.
No. This is why we do it.
I love it.
Because you went, in your head, you went straight to the one. That's the one that resonated the most. I mean, I think that it applies in every area of your life, though. So, struggle. Was it knowing your son's your boss?
It's a struggle every day. No, I'll tell you one that's really was a struggle for me was the feeling of I don't want to say not complying, but being different. So let me give you this example that the Lord brought me through. You know, before I got saved, I was, you know, I partied. It was everybody accepted me there.
Right.
But when I got saved,
couldn't find nobody, huh?
It was different. It was, you know, I don't want to go and get trashed, for lack of a better way to put that. And so now, you know, you're kind of on an island now. You know, I'm a new young man, father, husband, you know, kind of all in a short period of time. And I'm figuring this thing out alone because you feel alone, you know? And so the same answer to the previous question, learning how to lean on the Lord for that. So how did he get me through that? He literally gave me the strength to get through it because I had to lean on him. So being alone, or the feeling of being alone, I think that's one of the struggles. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but yeah, because when you do something different that's not status quo, or you're trying to become an outlier. If you've ever, I recommend you read that book if you haven't, by Malcolm Gladwell, Outlier. You know, you're setting yourself apart from everyone and what everybody else tells you to do. You're gonna feel alone. You know, so I think he the way he took me through that was my dependency. It was kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time, right? Because you feel alone, but then it also, who are you going to turn to then?
Nobody. You can't.
I mean, God, that was it. That's what I had.
He's the one who's there.
Yeah. So, and he never left me, never forsook me, you know. That was a big struggle, but also it built that faith muscle.
Yep.
So we're gonna be ending again, or you got a question?
Well, you know, I have something.
Shoot.
You could probably edit this out or whatever the case may be. But man, this right here, I feel you, my brother. All right, so I was out there partying too. I was depressed. I was drinking. You know, you heard this a million times. My mother fell into, you know, doing drugs and so forth and so on. And my brother, he came out in American Most Wanted. Those are the only two people in my life that I love. We're not a big family. It's only me, my brother, and my mother. That's it. And those two people were taken away from me. One was in the streets because of drugs. They were both taking drugs. One was doing them. One, you know. So when that happened, I felt alone. You know, I felt alone. I was at my heaviest, 240 pounds. I was depressed, sleeping on the couch. I was laying down on that couch for so long that the imprint of my body was on the couch. That's how depressed I was. I would drink, do it all. You know what I'm saying? And I felt alone. Whatnot. And then, like you said, you kind of mentioned that island, right? And, you know, that hit me hard because when I started changing my whole mentality, right? All those people that I used to hang around with when I used to drink, get trashed, like you say, I started noticing they weren't around. But it's kind of a shock to you because one minute you have all these people around, the next minute you're on this island by yourself. And that you panic. You could panic because you're like, you know, at this point, like, what's going on, you know? And just like he mentioned, it's a gift and a curse. For me, the curse was being alone, trying to navigate, trying to figure out this new thing, right? I had no clue, but I did have faith. That's one thing. My mom and everybody taught me was faith, right? Long story short, my mom came out of that disease. I call it a disease. My brother came out. They all got second chance. We're doing great right now. Thank the Lord, right?
God.
And but like you said, I started changing, and all these friends that I had were never there. I'll tell you the positive thing about that. I lost weight, fixed my credit score, all my financial stuff, and I became a better person. And if it wasn't for that journey of me being in that island, like Castaway, I wouldn't have gotten to where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I feel that resides real hard with me.
It's obviously I don't work out, but there's for those of you guys that are judging me, I really do believe that the law to growth is struggle. The law to growth is struggle. It's the only when there's breaking that happens is when there's growth. Right? When I did work out, I did at one point in time. But when I did, you feel the tissue ripping. And I remember thinking when I used to lift weights, when I felt like that tearing, that breaking, that soreness, I'm like, man, I'm going to get some great results out of this. And the opposite is true with many times. We want to do the opposite. When things look bad, that's when we have the greatest growth opportunities, right? Like I tell people in investing, when the market is bad, it's the greatest time. Warren Buffett said that bad news is an investor's best friend because it allows you to buy a piece of the American economy at a reduced price. Everything when things go bad is when everything's on sale. That's when in your marriage when things go bad and it's you're knocking heads and all of a sudden you get your greatest breakthrough. Man, you know what that talk about challenges, right? That bump into the heads it was to attack the selfishness in my life. I was being selfish. That's what I learned that it was about the other person. Or when financially I was about to lose the house, I learned that I was being selfish about getting, looking a certain way.
That's a struggle right there.
Wow. And so I think that it's in those toughest moments that you're going to get your greatest breakthroughs, which is you're seeing the effects of it now.
Yes.
But it's because you went through the toughest time in your life. And I remind you that the Lord was there.
Yeah.
Right? He's never left you. He's never forsaken you. That in the darkest moment, he was with you. And that's we were talking earlier before we got in here. Yeah. But it's God never promised that it would be easy.
Right.
He promised he'd be with you. And had he not been with you,
I feel that
you wouldn't be here right now.
Pastor, I had posted my story one day on the internet. I woke up that day, I just had a message, right? And I just wrote it out. I was like, somebody has to hear this, right? And I posted more of an extended version of what I just gave you right now, right? Put it out there. It was real receptive by a lot of people. I had a viewer, well, not a viewer, I had somebody hit me up in the inbox and she wrote me something here. And I was wondering if I could read that to you.
Yeah.
And see if you could help her out. Carlos didn't know about this, but I'm gonna just read it to you, right? And it goes with everything we just talked about. And it says, first, she wants to thank me for posting my struggle, right, on the social media. It takes a lot for a person to do that, right? Because you're vulnerable. You're opening up to people that you don't know, right? But somebody has to hear that, right? So she said, I had an opportunity to read your story. She read my story on the post of the struggle. And her question is, and how your faith helped you through it. I did have faith and I kept that faith alive. Here's my question to me, but I try to help her, but we got you here, man, and I need your help. At any time during your struggle, then and now, did you find yourself not understanding the blessing that you are receiving? Okay. If in that moment you felt as though it's a loss, or in that moment, did you see it as a benefit, right? That's what she's saying. And she goes on to say, I will admit, I am a very spiritual person and I believe I'm a higher being, right? And right now, during my struggle, I find myself afraid to ask God for any heart's desire, because I feel when I ask first for clarity and guidance, the path he is revealing to me is not the one in my heart. Okay? My heart desire. And at this point, I'm asking for acceptance. If at any point do you feel like he wasn't listening? So basically, she sounds like she's going through something, right? She's going through a struggle. She's not pinpointing what that struggle is, right? But she's going through something. She's trying to reach out, right? And she's looking for guidance. She's looking for something out there to help her, because what I'm getting from this right now is she doesn't want to question her faith, right? She's level-headed. She wants to go. So she's asking him. She feels all this, and so she asked me if by any chance, if I ever, somehow lost my faith, which I didn't, right? You got to have, you could have faith. Like Carlos gave me a little bottle like this, mustard seed.
Mustard seed.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is this? And I had no clue, and I still have it to this day.
Yeah.
And what did you say that implied, Carlos?
That your faith could be that small and God still see it.
Yeah.
Amen.
So,
No
I hit
mountains.
her off with, no, I've never, I've always had it, even though sometimes it might be questions. So let me just sum this up really quick. For somebody that's going through a struggle like this woman is, and she's not foreseeing the guidance or not seeing the outcome, what would you say to someone like that?
So and I'm going to try to break down the question a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say maybe I'm a little bit different in this. There's people that I commend you, brother, that you've never lost faith. I think that's commendable. There's, I would say there was times where I questioned. I think that God has no problem with our questions, because he's a God, the God of the heavens and the earth. He asks us questions. And so if I'm Christ-like, then no wonder why I ask questions, right? Now, I don't question God, right? I don't tempt God, but I have questions. And it's okay to be vulnerable. God has no problem with your questions. I remember times where I would say to God, man, God, why do you have me here? Why am I going through this? I serve you. Why should I have to go through this? And God's not intimidated by my questioning. He's not intimidated because he knows already what I'm going through. But he wants me to come to him with the questions. The problem is we go to the wrong place with the right questions.
That's good. That's real good.
We go to Comay and Compay, that are probably not where you want to be in the faith or wherever you want to be, right? And we're asking them questions when God says, hey, I'm right here. Ask me the questions. Yeah. So number one, I would say it's okay that you're questioning your faith or questioning where you're at. I think God's okay with that as long as you're coming to him. So go to him. Because if he created the heavens and the earth, and he did, and if he knew you in your mother's womb, and he does and did, then he already knew that you were going to ask the question. He just wants you to come to him. Look, I think of my son, right? And he's here in the room today. When he was a baby boy, he would do this. And what he was saying is, Daddy, pick me up.
Right.
I need your help, or if he cried, he would turn to me. My daughter the same way, hands up. That would tell me that there's no prouder moment as a father than to know that your child is depending on you and that you're dependable. Well, God in heaven, he's nobody more dependable than him.
That was a bar. Oh, come on.
So he's okay. When we come to him, I picture him, and indulge me a little bit, saying, come here, Papi. Come here, Mommy. Come. Daddy's got you. Right? Because the Bible says that he is Abba Father. He's our Father in heaven. So it's okay. He's there. He'll hold you up. He'll lift you up. He's never that's his character. Right? But I would say that there's one thing that if you're going to break something up in that question is, sometimes your heart, it just stood out when you said that, her heart, like what she wants in her heart versus what she feels God is saying.
Right.
There's been many desires that I've made for myself, right? But that doesn't mean that that's what God wanted for me. We could choose good, but I don't want good. I want what God has for me. So sometimes we don't see everything that God's doing. And I would just say that's where trusting him is going to be important because, you know, I don't know where I saw that. I think I saw it somewhere here, but it was an image of, I know it was a conference I gave, a married conference. But it was one of the images. And it's Jesus knelt down, right? And there's a little girl and she's crying because he's asking her to give up the little doll that she has. What she doesn't see is that he has a big teddy bear behind his back. And he's just saying, give me what's in your hand so that I can give you what I have for you. Right? So that I can exchange your sorrow for joy. So I can exchange your, this for what I have for your life. And I would say that there's sometimes things that God has for us that doesn't line up with what we want for us, but he knows better. And that's where trust is going to be important. So I don't know if I, went on a different tangent, but
I think you hit it.
hopefully that
it.
helps a little bit.
I think you
Stay in your faith.
Thank you.
Stay in your faith. Hold on to his garment.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. So last question of the day, man. This has been a great conversation. Great conversation.
Absolutely.
So, Pastor, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Love that question. I believe you got a plan. But God establishes our steps, right? From a ministry standpoint, I'll start there, right? I see myself discipling more people, teaching them what God's teaching me. And that's really what discipleship is. It's learning, you're taking it in, right? And you're sharing it with others, right? So from that standpoint, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ and discipling other people in that. I see myself doing that and serving his kingdom in whatever he would have me do. Then I break it down to being a husband. I see my wife and I having another property in Puerto Rico. And
I thought you were about to say another kid.
And no, Papa, we're hey, if God will have it, then let him do it. But don't ask my wife; she's good. I see us, I just came back from Puerto Rico, and the Chicago weather smacked me on the face as soon as I walked off of the plane. So I see us having another place in a warm climate of Puerto Rico, and be dual here in U.S. My wife and I enjoying that. My kids, I see us mentoring them, continuing to coach them because now we're in a consultant phase of with our children. So just being a constant, fountain they can go to for whatever their needs are. And so from a business standpoint, I'm really focusing on mentoring other people. So I see us leading another 100, 200 licensed professionals that are out there teaching people the truth, but giving it to them in love. Because this topic, like you said, it's a private one. One study shows that more people would rather talk about their sex life in public than about their finances.
Oh yeah.
Well, but that's true.
And that's true.
100. That's 100.
I can't see myself ever talking about my wife in public, but that's a statistic that kind of rocks me, right? To think that. And so I think that I see myself mentoring and developing hundreds of people that would do this, what we teach, if they didn't get paid.
That's good.
I'm not saying that people shouldn't get paid. I'm saying that their hearts would be, if I didn't get paid, I'll still serve our community. I'll do it as if it was a ministry. Those are the people that I see myself pouring into, versus, you could have a nice car and wear nice clothes, and that I don't see myself mentoring that. So I would say from that standpoint, and expanding throughout all of North America, teaching people how to have financial freedom, because you talked about entrepreneurship before we started,
Yes.
owning their own branches, owning their own family financial businesses throughout all of North America, and wherever the Lord would take us. So
Amen. So I'm going to encourage you, Pastor.
I
I'm
receive
going to
it.
encourage you to continue doing these things because we need to hear more from you. People need help, and they don't want to ask for it. But when you do your little Instagrams, let me take that back. When you do your Instagrams, not
I know
little,
what you meant. I know
Not
what you
little.
meant. Yeah.
When you do your Instagrams, it helps out. So I know people want to see that. I know I want to see that. I want to see more of that. So please continue doing that because it reaches out to people and those people that are embarrassed to ask those questions. So
It's good.
I want to thank you for being here, and I want to tell
Absolutely.
you one thing. That, sir, you do have flavor. That's for you. This is yours.
I can't reach that far,
Yes, you
but
can.
I will receive that, and I'm gonna make those habichuelas as soon as I get home. So thank you, my brother.
Thank you, man.
That
Thank
is
you.
great. That is phenomenal. I will save that. I cherish this time. Thank you guys
Thank
for just the conversation. You know, I think that you're encouraging other people that would have, like me, not have done this had it not been you guys doing this. So, you know, stay faith strong, continue to serve people, continue to pour into people.
you.
And what a great conversation. Thank you guys.
So one more time, your tags.
Oh, yeah. My Financial Builder on Instagram. Look me up there. There's a appointment setting link there. So if you want a free financial session, you want to sit down, talk about finances, get a 30-minute, just ask me your questions, complimentary, you know, schedule an appointment right on there, or you can call 224-244-8831. I also have a physical home office in Des Plaines over by O'Hare Airport. So if you want to meet in person, that's available as well. So the only ask that I ask is don't be selfish with the information. If it serves you, share it with others.
Amen. Each one teach one.
Amen.
Each one teach one. And your Instagram.
That is it. My Financial Builder.
Okay. So we got that. We thank you. Put your hands together for Pastor Victor.
Appreciate you guys. Bless you guys. Thank you. Thank you.